You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! It's gonna heat one deep down the field. It's gonna be to the goal line. It's gonna be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Thompson fires the ball over the middle. It's Tyreek! It's Tyreek! Got a touchdown! Tyreek got a touchdown! Oh my! Tyreek's got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
My bad. I'll do that later. Ready? All right, we live. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Y'all know the vibe. Same corner, same time. We are back at it. Dan's fresh off a nice little vacation. How you been feeling, Dan?
A nice little week-long vacation. Good. I was up in the mountains. It was fall up there. It's beautiful. Well, I guess it's fall everywhere, but it was leaf changing season up there. It was beautiful up in the mountains over in Bryson City for a couple days, and then over in Asheville. But gone for a week. Haven't done a week-long vacation in a while, so it's good to be gone. Caught myself a concert on Saturday nights. Did not watch the Gators in real time. Enjoyed myself at a small VIP concert for one of my favorite country music artists. So all in all, the vibes were beautiful all weekend. Saw the score, put my phone away, and had myself a good old time.
Yeah, I feel you on that. How was your weekend, Nick? How did Columbus treat you?
It rained the entire drive up.
Nice.
A semi was flipped over on
That's so
I-95
nice.
on the way back. So
I saw that too.
and the drive was still the best part of the weekend. So that's how everything went.
Why did you drive up and not fly?
I would have had to drive down to Orlando, so that's about an hour and a half, and then flying to Charlotte, which is 2 hours away. So by the time you add in driving, waiting, flying, getting a rental car, driving, it would have been like 7-8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, I think we took the exact same drive on Saturday or on Sunday. We might have passed each other on the highway. Who knows?
I went through.
Y'all seen the same flip truck. If it was the same
We
flip
did.
truck, y'all
Yeah,
probably
it was like pushed off the road. It looked like it had been on fire by the time I got.
Yeah. Saw the exact same flip truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of traffic.
It should be about a 5.5 hour drive, and it's gonna be 7 on the way back.
Yeah, it was a long drive. So we drove up because we needed a car. We also had a dog, and by the time you figure out all the logistics and everything, it was fine. So we drove up to Atlanta, as you guys know. Easy peasy drive up to Atlanta. Easy peasy drive up to the mountains. I was like, man, we'll sleep in a little bit. We'll leave Sunday morning. It's like a 9-hour drive. Bro, it took me like 11 hours to get home.
Yeah, it was rough. Sunday was a struggle.
And like I'm in the last like hour and a half. I'm like, I just want to get home. Like the car was silent. Nobody was talking. You know how that gets at a road trip at the end. And you're just like, I just want to get home.
Me out of
Get
here.
me home.
That's a wrap. Everybody's breath stinks and everybody's annoying by the end of the road trip. Sounding like, yo, shut up, fam.
So how's your weekend, bud? Outside of the obvious.
Oh, man, beautiful, man. Outside of Dan Mullen deciding to sneak up the place, man, I had a glorious weekend. I got to see Freddie out in your city on Thursday night. Kind of last minute thing. I was eyeing the Freddie concert when they announced it about a month ago. I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to make it because me taking the kids to school and all that stuff on a school night ain't that easy. But convinced the wife to let me go check out Freddie. Dope spot, the Ritz. My first time there, down in Ybor. It's very similar to anybody that's from South Florida. It's very similar to Revolution down there. Nice venue, dope for up and coming artists that could do like me. How many does that sit, Dan?
1,000.
No, it definitely does more than 1,000, right? No. 1,000?
No, I think that they're at about 1,000. I'll look it up while you.
That's a nice size. It's a nice size venue. I like it.
1,114.
Nice. Dope performance, man. If you haven't seen Freddie Gibbs live, don't cheat yourself, treat yourself, man. He doesn't tour down in Florida that often. That's why I had to go checking why he's here. I know he does a lot of UK touring, and he's out on the West Coast quite a bit, but he's not in Florida at all. So I had to pull up and check him out. But thoroughly enjoyed myself. One of the best shows I've ever been to. Tampa got some dope local artists, rap artists that is very good. I was surprised about a local rap scene. It was nothing but Tampa artists and the Bay artists that opened up for him, about 5 or 6 dudes. And all of them were gas, man. So overall, I enjoyed myself, bro. Great time.
That's wild. I was the only one that had to sit through that game Saturday in real time.
Correct.
Yeah, man. Once that fumble happened, I decided I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm just gonna fire some people. I gotta get out of here. So I went and caught up on Insecure and BMF.
That's crazy.
I caught the rest of the condensed game because I'm a professional. I'm
over here.
Got a report on it.
I'm over here contractually obligated to have needles shoved in my eye on Saturday, and Dan's and still in the middle of a bender.
Yeah,
You're enjoying some nice tunes.
You had an all-time ratio night. Like I woke up the next morning, I was like, boy.
Bro, I get ratio just for tweeting quotes. Like
you deserve it though.
Like people are waiting, like Gator fans are like waiting at press conferences, like out at the mailbox to yell at the mailman because their electric bill is high. And I'm like, yo, I didn't leave the lights on, homie. I'm just bringing you the mail. That's not me.
Your bad news, bro.
That's me.
Yeah,
bro. Nick's
been bad news, Nick, since before the season started. On the pod, we called him way too negative, and here he is.
I wasn't negative enough.
Yeah,
Silk lied all summer.
I didn't lie. Dan lied.
Silk lied all summer.
Let's fix this now. Like,
hashtag.
I didn't lie about anything. My coach lied to me, and he's still lying.
Yeah, the same coach that's pissing you off, Nick, is the same coach.
Nick and Dan Mullen got together, figured up what lies needed to be said to make Silk feel good about the team.
Right.
To make him lie. Man, Dan and I
have one job, bro. My job is to promote the Florida Gator football team to get fans hyped about the product that's going on the field. I believe that we were going to win 8-9 games, but we're not even going to hit that mark, Nick. So it's not me that lied.
Looked at Brett McMurphy's bowl predictions today.
I know, a future SEC matchup, a little Florida-Texas battle.
In?
Oh, I didn't even see where. I just
the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Now, that's Dan. Dan spoke that into our life a little bit.
Dan spoke that into existence.
Ricky Bobby.
Bro, I'm still at the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Not to root against Florida, but like I said, 6-6. December 30th, Nashville, Music City Bowl. Sign me up. Silk, we got to get you out there on Broadway.
I'm down to come to Broadway.
Do a live show. Do a live show from Broadway in Nashville.
Yeah.
That's a vibe.
That's a vibe.
Think I should bring a grill?
Yeah. Do you? Tennessee's very inclusive.
Dan's the expertise on Tennessee. What do you think, Dan?
I don't know if they'll allow you to have a grill on Broadway, but we'll ask Tennessee Mike if we can.
Wait. A grill to cook things or a grill like in your mouth?
Yeah, I think it's like a grill to cook things. But
I eat vegetables, so I'm not gonna haul a barbecue grill up to like.
Oh, you want a grill in your mouth?
With some eggplants.
Yeah, you can put a grill in your mouth. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I was like, wait, you think Silk's bringing like a smoker with him? Like dragging it? Excuse me, do you have room
Spencer
for this?
asked me for a link to the video I sent you guys earlier.
Like, what?
That's
a wild visual.
Eventually, we got to talk about football, guys.
Whether we're in Charlotte or whether in Nashville,
I think it's fine. Let's just push this game off. We don't need to talk about any of it.
Well,
unfortunately, we got to talk about football.
Yeah, the things that we can't push off are our great and wonderful sponsors that through this season love us and cherish us. So give a shout out to Greg Brunt and Brunt Insurance, and we'll get started on the show.
Hey man, fortunately for our sponsors, the numbers are up. Like people love train wrecks, so people are tuning in. Shout out to the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you may need insured from the Panhandle to the Keys, my man Greg got you. If you need your life insured, he can take care of that. your boat insured, the more important things, or your car, house, or even your business, hit my man Greg up at bruntinsurance.com or give him a call at 954-589-2204. Big coverage, big policies. Brun Insurance.
All right, perfect.
Greg,
so let's get in. What it do, baby? All right, so let's get into the game a little bit. We're not going to belabor this much. Very similar to the way that we didn't for the Georgia game. Not a ton of great takeaways. The Gators do lose the game to South Carolina, 40-17. The score was 30-10 at halftime. It is the most points that the Gamecocks have ever beat Florida by, and the most points that they've ever scored in a game against Florida with 40. South Carolina ran for 284 yards. They also allowed FBS transfer from St. Francis, which is a school that I've never heard of, and I feel like I know quite a bit about FCS teams. Jason Brown throws for 175 yards. The Gators give up 30 straight points for the third game in a row. I pulled this stat earlier. It's the third time Todd Grantham's defense have given up 30 or more points in 3 straight games in 4 years under Todd Grantham's leadership. In the previous 9 years before that, the Gators allowed exactly 0 times to give up 30 points in 3 straight games. So with all that being said, the Gators do lose.
Historically cheeks.
The Gators move to 4 and 5 on the season, in real danger of potentially missing a bowl game. And the Gators end up with, and we'll talk about that in the next segment, firing 2 coaches. So, Nick, you were at the game. You watched the entirety of the game. So it would be my honor to pass the torch to explain the game a bit more.
Huh. How kind of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. For I guess the third straight week, Florida simply could not stop the run. They've given up over 790 yards on the ground in their last 3 games. That's a massive issue. They couldn't run the ball. They didn't come out trying to run the ball. And Dan says, you take what the defense is giving you. South Carolina was stacking the box, but I come out and I'm like, listen, you should be able to blow this JV team off the line of scrimmage. Just run the ball. Give it to Dameon Pierce 20 times. Give it to Naquan Wright 20 times. Run the ball. Go with the 2013 game plan where Will Muschamp was trying to hide Skylar Morningweg as much as possible and just let Matt Jones and Kelvin Taylor run it. I thought that'd be the game plan. Florida comes out and throws the ball the first 10 plays of the game. I'm sitting there shocked. I'm like, what it was working. I mean, it was
your fault. Y'all told him that Dameon Pierce was a good running back. He's one of the best in the country. So you had to prove y'all wrong.
That's it. Blame me. That damn media.
I don't know what else it could be. I got to blame somebody. When y'all tell him somebody's good, they get benched, man. Stop telling them people are good, and he'll know what he's doing. He's going to prove y'all wrong. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I shouldn't have asked him about Mark. I shouldn't have asked him about Burke today because my guy Burke.
We'll see him next year.
He's gone. He's gone.
Poor kid.
It just so South Carolina scored on their first five possessions. So when Florida had to punt, I'm sitting there, and all week I'm talking to guys from South Carolina, and they're like, "This is a really bad South Carolina team."
Well, Shane Beamer even said that he didn't expect his team to win, and
he was shocked at halftime. Like, I'm surprised we're winning.
So there was really no excuse to not cover this game. But South Carolina went ahead and covered for Florida.
Nick, I assume you said in their first 5 possessions, I assume that takes us to the end of the first half. I'm assuming that Florida went around and made adjustments in the second, prepared to attack this behemoth South Carolina program, or
nope,
or is that incorrect? Okay.
Just sorry, that was just a quote from the head coach at halftime.
Oh, very good. Very good. So Nick, let's give a quick shout out. Marcus Burke does make a great catch on that first drive. The Gators, it's 10-10. The Gators then allow 30 straight points to South Carolina. And this is the first time that we've seen under Dan Mullen, at least in quite some time, where, yes, Florida's defense, which was historically cheeks in this game and this season and really this 4-year tenure, also could not put anything together on offense. Is this the most, and in my opinion, it was probably the worst offensive performance I've seen by a Dan Mullen coached team.
I mean, if we're going to keep it a buck, there's been times where the defense has been better than the offense.
For sure.
Yeah.
The defense have had a better football season than the offense on the lowest of keys, and they've been historically cheeks. But they've given us good halves or scoreless halves and kept the points down.
I mean, Florida came out, and Emory Jones looked good. I mean, it's not easy. So he injured his thumb against Georgia, so it's not easy to hold and throw a football if you got a banged up thumb. And he was putting balls where they needed to be. Burke had a great catch. I'm not gonna lie, like I looked down, like who the hell is 88? Hadn't seen him all year. I just assumed he was redshirting.
I seen the silhouette of Vari's face on the Jacksonville coastline when he caught the ball. I ain't gonna lie.
So I guess that if you're looking for positives, hey, there's a freshman making an impact. There's just really nothing positive to take away from the game. My dog Jeremy Crawshaw punted well, and not that well. Could have been a better game. So I mean, that's there's really nothing. There's nothing positive to take from it, other than it forced Dan Mullen's hand early. Dan Mullen said in his press conference today that he had already come to the conclusion that John Hevesy and Ty Grantham were going to have to go. And I think there'll be more changes. Obviously, if you're going to hire a new defensive coordinator, you don't say, hey, here's your safeties coach, here's your cornerbacks coach, and here's your defensive line coach. And that's who you're working with. You let him or her, let them pick. let them pick. You let them pick, the people they want to work with. Like, hey, these guys just got the guy I'm replacing fired. Maybe I don't want to work with them. So I think there'll be more changes. But Dan said he had already come to the conclusion, and that Saturday was just like, hey, I'm going to pull up the quote. He was like, basically it made him think. He goes, obviously our goal, one of the ways you look, is this a successful season? Are you a better team at the end of the year than you were at the beginning? For me, looking at where we're at right now, we're not better than where we were earlier in the year. In fact, we're worse. And I think, Dan Mullen always says, it's a term that we talk about in baseball all the time. Nothing's ever as good as it seems. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems. And Dan actually said Monday, I could say that about every game until Saturday. Like, it was as bad as it seemed all day Saturday.
No, I disagree. I guess my biggest issue with that is I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think that Florida was ever good. I think that they played Alabama well. I think that there was a lot, riding on that game, pride and everything else. I think if you look at outside of that game, and we made excuses, and I made them, and I'll be the first one to say, against, FAU, they didn't look good. Against USF, they didn't look good. Obviously, you have the Alabama game thrown in there. The Tennessee game, Florida ends up with a pretty decisive victory on paper. But again, we talked about it on this show. You allow, a couple of those wide open passes to be caught, and all of a sudden that's a nail biter of a game.
To see Tennessee right now either. They're peaking.
No. Oh yeah.
How bad does that Kentucky loss look now? I mean, Kentucky's lost 3 straight.
Yeah, Kentucky's not very good.
They ran 99 plays Saturday. Do yourself a favor. If you haven't looked at it yet, go look at the Kentucky and Tennessee box score. It is insane.
I got to go look at it. But no, I mean, you're right. I mean, Vanderbilt, they looked bad. LSU, they looked bad. Georgia, they looked bad. And South Carolina, they looked bad. And I think the thing to me is saying it's not just that this is like this newfound euphoria that Dan Mullen had. I think the noise got so loud that it seemed beyond just that corner of Twitter that, has been upset with Dan Mullen, even going into, last year or at the end of last year, that now the noise was so loud that his hand was forced. But I don't believe that this is like a euphoric moment for Dan Mullen to say, oh, this is as bad as it was. It was like, no, Florida is a bad program and that we need to do something optically or my job's on the line, which I don't think that he's still out of the clear for, which is something you've emphatically said otherwise.
Yeah,
about that. I think the overall loss. I think he if in my mind, bro, that's just an egregious loss that I don't think he bounces back from. I think he's just pretty much this is it. You know, we could switch DCs. Dan Mullen, who he is. The seniority thing, the keeping staff that should have been fired. We all had these opinions about in media, fans, not just the fans. Dan, it was also media that questioned him about bringing DCs back, hiring, staff changes, and that like the McGee hire looks lazy as well now. Our quarterbacks aren't getting better. There's an obvious drop off from Brian Robinson, and he didn't go out and look for a quarterback coach. He promoted in-house. So just looking at how Dan Mullen rolls, how he hires, how he plays players, how he recruits, none of that's not about to get fixed by hiring a DC.
No, I agree. No, Florida's got a lot of logistical issues to fix going into next season. Silk, you hit the nail on the head. It's not just the defensive, coordinator role, which in my opinion, I expect a complete turnover of defense, and we can talk a little bit more about that here in a second. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some changes potentially at the running back position. Obviously, we saw a change at the offensive line position. I wouldn't be surprised if there's potentially a move either at tight end or quarterbacks coach.
The running back coach, like someone would say, "Oh, why is he getting fired?" But he runs special teams as well.
He's on an expiring contract. So here's the other thing: is
not really firing people neither, huh?
Here's the other thing. Yeah, you're not really firing people. Dan and John, Florida. So here, this will take a minute here. I think Dan.
We got time, bro.
When Dan didn't fire Todd last year, the heat was on Todd. When Dan didn't fire Todd, that's like saying, hey, like if Silk had a party and I bring somebody over, he doesn't know who they are. I'm responsible for how that person acts at his house. Now, when you don't fire Todd, now, okay, you've now vouched for Todd. So we're no longer, or we're still mad at Todd, but we're no longer mad at Todd. Now you're allowing this to continue. So now it's on you. So the heat shifted from Todd to Dan because Dan's allowing it to happen. And as this season slips away from Dan Mullen, I think that heat now potentially shifts to Scott Strickland. And listen, I already see it on the timeline. There is heat on Scott Strickland already. But if you don't move away from Dan Mullen,
they put heat
then
on
now now the heat shifts to Scott. And listen, this is the big thing. So Florida had 6 coaches that were on expiring contracts. Hevesy, Grantham were 2 of them. Brewster, Knox, Billy Gonzalez, and
was it Jules?
No. No,
McGee?
Jules just signed 2. No, McGee. Maybe it's Turner. I can't remember. There were 6 coaches, and I wrote about it on Saturday. There were 6 coaches. It's like almost $4.3 million worth of combined contracts. Where you're at now, and we asked Dan about it. Dan is on the hot seat. That's the perception. Whether or not Scott Strickland wants to fire Dan Mullen, the perception is that Dan's on the hot seat. So you're going to pay Dan Mullen $12 million, whether you fire him right now as we're taping this show, whether you fire him 1 year from today, whether you fire him 2 years from today. You owe Dan Mullen $6 million within 60 days of firing him, and then he's going to get a fat $1 million check until that $12 million is hit. The difference is getting rid of Dan Mullen now, you still owe him that same money, but you're not going to pay those expiring contracts. And if you keep Dan Mullen, which I think is likely if he doesn't continue, if Saturday happens again, all bets are off. But I think Dan Mullen will be back in 2022. But now, how do you attract a good DC? How do you attract these other coaches? You have to give them more money than they're worth because they're coming into a dead man walking situation unless things are drastically different, or you have to give them multi-year contracts. And then if you make the move from Dan, you still owe Dan the same money, but now you're paying out all of these assistant coaches that you had to give more money to because they were coming into a bad situation.
Yeah.
So financially, it would be responsible to get rid of Dan Mullen. I don't know if that's the move, And I don't know if that's the move that Florida will make. But they have a bunch of guys who, are on expiring contracts, and I think might not be here next year.
Yeah, I mean, how long? You said $6 million up front and then $1 million for the next 6 seasons?
Yeah.
So over that time, Florida will have an athletic budget of almost $1 billion.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you're talking. I mean, because Florida's athletic budget last year was somewhere around 140 million. It's obviously going to continue to go up. So around $1 billion. So I don't think that's really it. Going back
they're running up some debt. There's a lot of stuff that they're building and they're paying
but
for.
That's never
about to put $250 million renovations into the swamp.
We can talk financing and things of that nature on our separate swamp podcast about about the cost of debt right now. I think the bigger issue that Florida has, and Nick, I want to go back to a point, is there's a lot of eyeballs on decision making within the Florida Athletic Department by people that have more power than this podcast and pockets a lot deeper than this podcast. And it's not just about football with Scott Strickland. I think that there's a lot bigger issues. You look at the issue with the Florida women's basketball program that seems to have been completely just blown up and completely just a total disregard by the UF athletic department. You have what seems to be a pretty absent athletic director over the last month, at least visually, since that report really came out.
I've seen
you have a basketball program that's struggling. You have.
What are you talking about, Nick? You holler at him?
Oh, I see Scott all the time. He's at every game.
I said visually, right? I mean, you can.
I'm visually seeing him.
Sure.
You asked him if his Twitter worked. He lost his phone.
I think he lost the password.
Yeah. So you have a struggling football program, a struggling men's basketball program, a downtrodden women's basketball program. You have a bunch of replacement hires that don't seem to have been working out. And now, like you said, you financed an athletic department that was very much in the black, with now a bunch of things that are in the red. And you start to have a lot more eyeballs that are on Scott Strickland now, that I think that the direction of the athletic department probably is now becoming a bigger problem even than just Dan Mullen being a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you got the accreditation board coming after the president, coming after the university. I mean, this is not.
Well, then you have 3 professors that just filed lawsuit today, right? So
not a great month. Not a great month for the University of Florida. Not a great month for the flagship Silk. I imagine the roll up will be less fun this week.
No, I'm very good at all of this, Nick. So it's gonna be eventful.
Spin it.
Yeah,
Silk's Pizzeria. He's just gonna be spinning that dough.
Yeah, you got to know how to get out of sticky situations, and they all have sticky situations as well. So you just got to make their situation stink more than yours. But I just think, bro, like another loss is. I'm with Dan. Like it doesn't. I'm sorry. I'm with Nick. If he hires more staff and we get all these fresh new contracts, that make the hiring and the money does go up. But I don't think that a deciding factor. It just makes our business a little weird and more money that we got to pay out. But this is just a part of the shit. Similar to what Manny Diaz is going through down south. He had to take over. He didn't hire DC. He just took over the play call and hired T-Rob and a couple other guys on the defensive side of the ball. But I think the elephant in the room is our offense has been struggling. Dan Mullen calling the plays. Last year, Brian Johnson called the plays. So we need to possibly talk about maybe Dan hiring somebody to help him call plays, not just a defensive coordinator. Our offense is off right now.
Well, these are his guys too, right?
Right.
These are,
bro, people get mad at me. People get big mad at me. Dan Mullen won 22 games with Jim McElwain and transfer portal guys. And people don't want to hear that. And I'm like, you don't like Dan Mullen's recruiting. Why are you mad at Jim McElwain? Like, those are his guys. Kyle Trask, his guy. Kyle Pitts, his guy. Tony, his guy. The guys on defense that were playing last year, his guys.
Yeah, but they were also his guys when he got fired too, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day,
he wasn't coaching them up. But Mac recruited those dudes. The dudes that Dan Mullen went to New Year's 6 bowl games with were his guys. The guys that are on the team that he's 4-5 with, these are the guys he recruited.
And some of the issues we had has been McElwain guys as well. It goes both ways. Some of the older guys that he just keep playing, and he's played since his tenure, were older McElwain guys as well. So that went both ways. I think Dan Mullen has some guys he's recruited that can play, but he has that seniority thing. I don't think he just McElwain just out recruiting him and got more playmakers. No, his playmakers are young boys, and he got them on the bench.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Let's bring this back real quick before we talk about these firings, just because it's obviously something that we want to dive in really deeply about. Anything else you guys want to talk about this South Carolina game before we move on to obviously?
No, he just deserved. That's a fireable game.
Yeah.
Getting fucking blown out by. I'm sorry. I mean,
no, you're fine. No, I mean,
getting blown out by South Carolina is a fireable offense. Like he shouldn't. To me, in my mind, he shouldn't have been on an airplane on the way back to Gainesville. He should not be the head coach here. Like him, for this to happen, for all that shit to go down that we've been dealing with shitty defensive play, guys not being able to get lined up. Like it's obvious shit that we get called, like, or the fans get made look like they're crazy and they don't know what they're talking about. The fans was right, because you had to fire the guys that we've been bitching about for the last 2 years. I just think all that's fireable stuff. Like University of Florida should never even, like, we don't lose to South Carolina, let alone get blown out.
You would have gone
a lot of things. Go ahead.
You would have gone USC. Lane Kiffin just left his ass on the top.
Yeah. He got to get in the car with you, Nick.
No.
Yeah, both of y'all would have saw the flipped over truck if it was up to me.
No. Listen, he's going to be – Dan Mullen has the means to procure his own transportation home.
However he got back, I don't think he deserved the right to get back on any of our transportation the way he coached, the way he's treated this program, because he treated like he had better shit to do this fall. We haven't looked prepared a single game, dog. Like, this is crazy. The Bama game, the fans – let's give the fans some credit that game. Now that we want to look in hindsight, the fans kept us in that game, made that shit close.
How many points did we give the fans?
All of them.
I'll say that the Florida football team has not looked the same since they beat Georgia last season.
I wrote, man, I don't know what. So all LSU week, I'm doing like a bunch of media stuff, and in like the pre-show before you get on the radio, you're talking to the guys, and I'm just like, how in 18 months has Ed O gone from coach of the year, undefeated season, national championship to like gone, about to get fired? And then they kind of like break it down. So I'm sitting there like at halftime, and Florida's getting their teeth kicked in, and I'm like, how are we here?
Uh-huh.
How are we here? 1 year ago, Florida had just crushed Georgia. That game wasn't competitive. Florida beat the brakes off Georgia.
Right.
You had a Heisman hopeful, eventual John Mackey Award winner, a first-round receiver in Kadarius Toney. You were a top 5 team. I'm like, how have we gotten to this point? And I kind of broke it down in a story. It took me forever to kind of break it down, and then I sent it to my boy Richard Johnson. He's like, it's really wild when you like write it all out and look at it. And I mean, and I didn't even mention. It
almost looked like he was like that great year he was having that, I'm gonna get an NFL job and be out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing that bothers me. He wasn't like, listen, he'll go to the NFL if like an opportunity's right. But like that was what happened last year was Jimmy Sexton was negotiating an extension.
I ain't buying it, Nick. This season,
Jimmy
Sexton tells me that he had better shit to do this fall, and it wasn't the coaching the Gators.
You guys were wrong. That was a negotiation tactic that Jimmy Sexton all he has to do is shoot Adam Schefter a little text right before he goes on his little, 30 seconds with Schefter. Schefter says, Dan Mullen's open to going to the NFL. Boom. Contract negotiation. That's leverage.
See, I don't think
if the Jacksonville Jaguars would have come to Dan Mullen and said, hey, we've got the most cap space of any NFL team. We have the number 1 pick. Go and get whatever quarterback you want. Here's the keys. I think Dan Mullen would have gone. But like I've said many times, it takes 2 to tango. I want to date Jennifer Aniston. I don't think that's reciprocated. I don't think any NFL team wanted Dan Mullen last year, and they certainly are not going to want him after this game.
They certainly didn't want him at the end of the season, but I think at one point last season, Florida's sitting, 7-1, before the LSU game, 8-1. I don't think his star was ever brighter for the NFL, right? I think that he's a guy that if the opportunity became available, I think that he would much rather be in the NFL than college football, right? I don't think that the opportunity existed for him before. And I think if there was an opportunity last year, it was going to be that chance. They have a weird game that they should have never even been in a battle with against LSU last season. They come back. You see some fire in the team's eyes against, Alabama. They end up coming short. They completely lay an egg. He completely bombs the press conference before and after the game. He has a weird offseason. He has all sorts of issues. This entire season, the team has never once looked prepared, except for maybe that Alabama game, and that required a complete second half comeback.
No. The fans were prepared then.
Well, the fans were prepared. But outside of that, at no point since then, Nick, has Florida looked like a team that should be coached by a guy that should have ever been considered by the NFL, coordinated by coaches that should be coordinators at the college or anywhere above, and have position coaches that I still wonder to this day how they're in the position that they're in.
I love that.
Well, follow us on YouTube for that reaction.
Well, recruiting's an issue, and another issue was Todd Grantham, and I think he created a pretty toxic work environment for the people that he was around this last year.
You mean the guy that 10 years ago did a throat slash to Chaz Henry is a guy that could create a toxic work environment?
A leopard doesn't change its stripes, Dan. A wise man once told me that. I had it confirmed with multiple sources. So
elaborate on toxic work environment. Like what is doing? Is he
it starts with this.
Playing a little slap nut, slap butt. What he's playing?
When Florida was
so many directions toxic it goes. So I want to be clear.
No, there's no sexual harassment in the workplace. What are we doing here? When Michigan was coming for Christian Robinson, the reason Florida was fine and letting C-Rob walk was they were talking with Charlie Strong, and Charlie Strong was going to come and be a co-DC, and he was going to coach linebackers. He had to talk to Todd Grantham. Todd Grantham said, "This is my effing defense. Don't care what title you get." That's gone. Now that's why C-Rob gets a raise. Hey, well, we're not getting him. Let's bring C-Rob back. Make sure he comes back to Gainesville. Looking for a new quarterbacks coach. They bring T-Rob in. It's going to be the same deal. Hey, you're going to be co-DC and you're going to coach the corners. Cool. Talk to Todd. Same conversation. My effing defense. Don't care what your title is. T-Rob out. Those are two guys. T-Rob for sure. I don't know how Charlie is still recruiting, but T-Rob for sure. Guys that would have helped you recruiting now, next year, as long as they're there, going to help you recruiting. And then just I'm getting people telling me just toxic to the point, just you can't even have a conversation with them, just yelling at people, belittling people. I think he should have gotten rid of Todd Grantham in 2020. We're talking about spilled milk at this point, but he should have gotten rid of Todd Grantham after 2020. Things were just getting bad in the building with Todd.
I'm sad to hear that this is coming out right now, but
I can't like believe in this guy again. Like I don't believe like you figure like how do you let all this go on under your watch? There's a lot going on, man. A lot of inept play, a lot of incompetency. Like we watched this team line up on a Saturday, and it looks like they don't know what's going on several years in a row. And you just let that keep going out of loyalty, he said in his presser today.
He is. Look at this guy. Look, he and John Hevesy been together 20 years.
Well, who cares about his loyalty, bro? Like this is the University of Florida, bro. Like we don't care about your friendship with Todd Grantham. Yeah. That's crazy. You got a job to do here, bro. People pay you a lot of money to run a franchise.
I think he's also
trying. And you're gonna keep a friend? Like what are we talking about here, bro?
I think he's also trying to sell. Remember, I said already. This is gonna be a hard job. Whoever you're trying to sell this job to, they're not dumb. They know, like, yo, if we have a bad year next year, Dan's out, I'm out of a job. So, like, why do I need to come there? Dan's, I think, in saying that and in pointing that he wasn't lying about it. He is loyal to a fault, but he's trying to make that job more attractive to whoever he's going to offer it to at some point, because he's offering them a chance to potentially come and get fired with him is what he's going to be offering, because Dan Mullen will be on the hot seat. And listen, if Florida goes up to Como, if they go up to Columbia, Missouri, and show up like they did in Columbia, South Carolina, Dan Mullen won't be hiring a defensive coordinator, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say that. And before we get onto this topic, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Visit them, homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale, get 15% off softest and best retro gear that you could possibly find. It's the holiday season. Christmas time, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, non-celebratory holidays, birthdays, Thanksgiving presents, whatever you might
this year.
Yeah, whatever you might need, go to homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale for 15% off. No, Nick, I think what you said there at the end before I had to interrupt for an ad break there is truly correct. And I spoke to a good source, and I put it in our chat earlier today, that there is a very high likelihood that if Florida loses another game this season I don't think that they'll lose to Samford. I know I've said that 2 weeks in a row that I don't think Florida will lose. I'm pretty confident about this one. If Florida loses to either Missouri or Florida State to end the season, I think that there is a greater chance than not that Dan Mullen is not the head coach of the Florida football program next year.
Yeah, I don't like. You just gotta go.
So just like
Looks like I like that.
so.
No, I don't. At this point, I mean, I was ready last week, bro. Just like I just know when somebody's not bought in, they don't care about something. Like Shane Beamer didn't have more talent than us. Like all these takes about recruiting that we've been spending so much time on. Shane Beamer did not have more talent. He just cared more.
Yeah,
They're like a team that like they look bought in. The players had energy. They didn't look flat. Our players look like flat, like they ain't care, like they ain't want to tackle nobody. They ain't want to be out there. They ain't want to play for this coach. That team quit. And I don't know how you get a team that quit to rally that shit back. Like we just playing for funsies right now until we get another head coach. Because right now Dan ain't the guy. We got to find a head coach.
Are you having fun? We're playing for funsies. Are you having fun?
we're losing the thumb war.
No, I'm not having fun,
bro. That rope is
out of technicalities, we're not playing for any jewelry or any trophy. So we playing for funsies until we go get a real head coach. This is not the standard, fam.
You better hope the Duke's Mayo Bowl doesn't hear you say that.
We're playing for mayonnaise jars.
Yeah,
Jeez.
buddy.
I mean, it's like Little League. Everybody gets a carry. You know, like everybody gets an opportunity. The bigger
Except
kids play
Dameon
first.
Pierce, he doesn't get a carry.
Yeah, because y'all did that. Nick and his friends went to the presser and they talked crazy and said Dameon Pierce was good.
Damn it.
Oh man, let's get the logistics out of the way.
Wait, can we get Traeger?
Bro, that first half when Dameon Pierce would get no carries, dog. That's all I could think about. I was like, yeah, he's just punking us. This is a prank.
Dan's in the headset. He was like, "Yo, what's Nick tweeting? He wants Pierce. Damian in the locker room. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'll show him. I'll show that little guy." We need a Traeger sponsorship so Silk can wheel around that grill on Broadway when we go to the Music City Bowl.
Let's run Malik Davis right up the middle again, right through the tackle box. So John Hevesy, offensive line coach, as we talked about, has been fired. Defensive coordinator Todd Grantham has also been fired.
Shout out to Hevesy, man. Hevesy probably woke up and was like, what did I have to do with that shit?
Yeah. John Hevesy was fired on a day where a guy that was more hated than him also got fired, so he's escaped a lot of the discussion. Christian Robinson is going to be taking over defensive play calling. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that in a second. Paul Pasqualoni, former head coach at Syracuse, he was with the Detroit Lions, who has been serving as the special assistant to the head coach, is going to take an on-the-field role for the remainder of the 2021 season. And then Michael Soleni, who is a graduate assistant in his second year at the program, is going to work with the offensive line for the rest of the year. So, Silk, I want to get your thoughts on Christian Robinson taking over defensive play calling. Surprise to you? Another troll job by Dan Mullen to get Todd Grantham protege taken over?
I was surprised at first, but then I looked at, a lot of like Dan Mullen old traits pop up. He's been here the longest out of everybody on that side of the ball. So it makes sense. You got to, I told you got to wait your turn. So I was surprised, but considering everybody on that staff that has previous play calling and did that
Crime
before.
has play calling.
Yeah, should have gave it to Crime. In my opinion, should have gave it to
Crime might have washed his hands with that. And he goes, "You kidding me? This mess? No way! We're not putting more responsibility."
I doubt that. Those guys love that opportunity to get to call some shit, and hopefully somebody. That's how Larry Scott got his job right now by doing shit like that.
Go
I do like it from a standpoint of, I've seen my man Randy tweet this, that the young boys and the players on the team will play for Christian Robinson from an energy standpoint. So I'm not mad at it from that standpoint.
I viewed it. Well, first off, I really like Christian Robinson as a person, and I think he'll be a good coach. I think he's really young. I mean, he's younger than us. He's 31 years old. Last year when Dan made Brian offensive coordinator, not to get like racial, like it's hard for like black guys aren't getting like head coaching jobs. Like if you look around the NCAA, look around the NFL, there aren't a lot of black head coaches, and you're certainly not going from Dan Mullen's quarterback coach where you're not even like, what are you even doing? Dan's coaching the quarterbacks. So Dan gave Brian an opportunity. Hey, you're going to call plays this year. You're going to be the Florida Gators offensive coordinator, and that's going to help the rest of your career. This is a great experience, for Christian to get a chance to run the show, get out of Todd Grantham's shadow. And listen, Christian Robinson may or may not be back next year, depending on who they hire as defensive coordinator. This is going to help him in his career, and I think Dan is giving him an opportunity, kind of like he gave Brian Johnson an opportunity. So I know everyone's mad at Dan, but I think this is a good move, at least from a human aspect, for Dan Mullen to tap Christian Robinson and give him this opportunity. Listen, it could go terribly. He played for Todd Grantham. He's GA'd for Todd Grantham. He's coached under Todd Grantham. It might just be Todd Grantham 2.0, but it for me, liking Christian on a personal level, I like the move because I think it's a good. Let's be honest. Like, is Florida going to break the course record? You know, like, hey, should I try to get on the green over the water in 2 here on this par 5? Oh, I don't know. You're about to break the course. You're 4 and 5. Who cares who's calling the plays? I saw so many people angry. It's like, what are you playing for at this point? Like, yeah, just get to a bowl game so you can have the bowl practices. I don't understand, like, the outrage that I saw today on the timeline about Christian Robinson calling plays.
I get it because his room has looked terrible, right?
Well,
so
yeah, but like, what are you playing for right now? What are you protecting? Like, who cares who's calling defensive plays?
Well, but
let Mahmoud call defensive plays.
But I think that's part of the problem.
It's been quite a shit show, but losing to Sanford would be just like way over the top. I still got to do the roll up, fam.
I don't think that Florida's gonna.
You can only spend so much.
That's right. I don't think, Nick, it has necessarily anything to do with why not give him a shot. I think it has everything to do with kind of what you see as just another decision that you just kind of scratch your head at, right? Yes, Christian Robinson's been there the longest by 1 year over David Turner. You know, Crime Dog has experience as defense coordinator. Paul Pasqualoni was an NFL coach, right? David Turner was with Dan Mullen at Mississippi State for a few years before. At the end of the day, I think it's just one of those things that you just kind of scratch your head when you think of the alternatives. It's the same way we kind of scratched our head with Garrick McGee and Jules Montaner and, some of the other decisions that have been made. You just kind of scratch your head and you wonder what thought went behind it. I'm not saying that C-Rob is a bad coach. I'm not saying that he's not a guy that could potentially, be a great defensive coordinator one day. Potentially, I think what Silk said it rings true, though. In the 4 years that he's been there, Florida has struggled at linebacker, right? Outside of Christian Robinson probably being your only good recruiter, which is pretty bad thing to say. There's not a lot of merit to what Christian Robinson's done as a coach at Florida, and to get promoted into a role is just a head scratcher.
I like it. I was in the minority, big time.
Yeah, I like it, but all the other guys are black too, Nick. So he could have there's so many other black guys he could have got that off for him, man. I just thought like Dan was saying, those type of role, I think you got to be deserving of things, not just because of time. Same thing with the players that are playing just because they've been there longer. Like, if you're not the best, you don't deserve. And it's just like the same culture. Like, you just, because it's your turn. That's shitty culture. And he just regurgitating that same culture back in with this one more time.
It'd have been wild if he was like, yo, Billy Gonzalez is our new defensive coordinator.
Let Billy call it. Yeah. Receivers been better than linebackers. I like it.
All right. So with that being said, you guys got your hot boards ready?
I'm going through my mentions right now. I've hired the timeline.
Let me go. I'm actually writing it. Let me go grab my laptop because I'm on the desktop here.
Okay, perfect. Well, Nick,
you just got to hire people on the timeline, fam.
While you do that, hey, the timeline is called the Grantham thing, the Hevesy thing, the Knox thing, the recruiting thing, the Dan Mullen thing, the Scott Strickland thing. They've called a lot of that stuff out before.
This show is for the fans, bro.
That's right.
It's a fan show.
Anyway,
that's my sources. My sources, the fans.
So let's give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks, GameTimeSidekicks.com for all of your stainless steel and vacuum sealed drinkware, whether it's a shaker cup, whether it's a Yeti style looking cup, whether it's a cup for your coffee or a cup for your Diet Coke, whatever the case might be. Visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Over 350 different licensed products that you can buy, from college football to golf to professional soccer, things of that nature. Go visit them, GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM. Get 10% off of your order. Silk, I know that you drink out of them. Nick, I know, does too. I drink. I bring one to work every day with me. So visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM and get 10% off of your order. So obviously, as we said, we're going to dive a little bit into some defensive coordinator hot boards and what Florida might do. Silk, before Nick comes back, any initial folks, before we answer this question, that you don't want to be considered? Is there anybody that you are tired of hearing the name of?
I don't want Charlie Strong. Shout out to Charlie. Not mad at Charlie, but I just think the game's past a lot of these older dudes. Gene Chezik, I do not want. Who else?
Kevin Steele, I do not want.
Nah, I don't want Kevin, man. He's just been around the SEC too long. I think it's like a lot of these guys get like Grantham. The guys around the league, these offensive coordinators know how to beat you. You've been around too long. So I like some of the fresh faces. Let me get my board together.
So I'll say this: the Jeff Collins was a defensive coordinator for Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. He's currently the head coach. I'm just hold on, Nick. He's currently the head coach at Georgia Tech. There's a chance that he could get fired. I don't see that reunion happening for a variety of reasons.
Reunions. I don't think Muschamp's an option either.
Yeah, I don't think Muschamp is an option either. Manny Diaz is not likely going to get fired from Miami, which is great news. So he likely won't end up at Florida. And Todd Grantham. So those are the defensive coordinators that served with Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. And I don't envision a reunification with any of those. So like you said, Will Muschamp will not be coming back to the University of Florida. I don't see Charlie Strong coming back to the University of Florida in that capacity as well. I expect, from everything that I'm hearing, a completely different set of names to be potentially attached here.
Doug Belt is a name that came up quite a bit. I like him. Gerard Mayo, guy that played in the SEC, linebacker coach for the Patriots. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him at all either. If you want to go young, a guy that doesn't recruit now, but those that take those young guys, then they recruit easily, young black guys like that. Those are two names that popped out that I like off the rip. There's a lot of other names. Trying to remember.
Let's hold on one second. So Gerard Mayo is a former Patriots linebacker. He's now the inside linebackers coach for the Patriots. He's 35 years old, played at the University of Tennessee, played in the NFL for a number of years, was selected 10th overall in the 2008 NFL draft. Again, a guy that I think his entire coaching career has been with the Patriots. He was hired by the Patriots in 2019 to be their inside linebackers coach. So that is the first name. So what was the second name that you mentioned?
Doug Belk.
So Doug Belk, I believe, is with Houston, correct?
Correct.
Yep. So Doug Belk, associate head coach, defensive coordinator at Houston right now. Doug Belk is a guy who was a former safeties coach as well, worked at Valdosta State, Alabama, West Virginia as their cornerbacks coach, and has been at Houston since Dana Holgorsen went over to Houston from West Virginia. He was hired as a co-defensive coordinator, then given the title of associate head coach. Now he also coaches safeties. That's a big name and a name that I know a lot of guys are clamoring for. A young guy, black former player at Carson Newman, which is a Christian college, but a tenacious recruiter and known to be definitely a rising star in the business.
You're Jeff Collins. I think that's my perfect scenario. Like if he gets fired, like Jeff Collins can call it defense. Dan Mullen likes hiring friends. I think if Jeff Collins is available, that's who, and wants to come back to Florida, that's who Dan Mullen will hire. Some retreads.
What about Pruitt? Y'all like Pruitt?
No.
I think
I like Pruitt, but I just don't think he gets a job. I wouldn't mind. Pruitt could recruit his ass off, and he could call a defense, and he could shake some things up with Bama and Georgia.
I think some of the Tennessee things still kind of hang over.
Yeah, for sure.
Culturally,
yeah, he's going to be suing the university. He's handing out money in McDonald's bags. That's a little more baggage.
You can do it now.
That's a little more baggage than Florida.
But you can hand out money in McDonald's bags. You know where to find the money at now. So we need to NIL that.
It's an NIL deal in the McDonald's.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Some retreads. I think Kevin Steele, he's currently unemployed, was Auburn DC. Auburn, something there with Florida is Auburn still owes him $4.1 million over the next 2 years. So Florida, I think it's built into the contract that Florida can't offer him, $10,000 because Auburn has to, it's subtracted whatever Auburn owes him. You have to pay him like market value, but you wouldn't have to pay him, the $1.8 million that you were paying Ty Grantham, and you can get Kevin Steele. A retread. Can you get Gene Chiswick to come home?
Florida. One second, Nick. Florida had the chance to hire Kevin Steele last year, no? To be a position coach, to be an analyst, and they passed on that opportunity. Is my understanding correct?
I don't know.
That's insane. Okay. Yeah, but I did remember hearing that at the time. Then we discussed that a little bit. But he wasn't named that came up.
Gene Chiswick.
Gene Chiswick played linebacker at Florida. Obviously, was a head coach. I had Doug Belk on my list that Silk mentioned. You want to hit him where it hurts? Go get Dan Lanning from Georgia. He's a co-DC at Georgia. I think the issue with him is that he's going to be a head coach soon.
Yeah.
So you might get Dan Lanning for 2 years, and then he might get a head coaching job somewhere else.
That's all you need him for.
He's 35 years old, young. Another kind of retread, but I like John Haycock. Haycock, I don't know how to say it, but he's 61 years old. He's Iowa State's defensive coordinator.
Not interested.
Mike Tressel.
Son of embattled Youngstown State coach Jim Tressel?
Yes, him. I like Tim DeRuyter. He's the DC at Oregon. And I like Brian Newbuyer, who is Navy's DC. I think Navy is historically bad this year, but having watched 2 of their games, it probably makes sense, being an academy. They are disciplined. They don't miss tackles. I don't think their defense is the reason, that they're losing games. He'd be an interesting guy to look at. I don't know if he'll even be, if they'll kick the tires on him, but just someone I'll put on probably my initial hot board. Those are the guys I have.
So I'll say this. I think that Florida is going to have to go with somebody that is looking for a step up and looking for a defensive coordinator opportunity, maybe a linebackers coach, maybe a defensive line coach that's looking to take that next step up in their career, or a retread. I think it's going to be tough to go into, an Iowa State. I saw some people throw around Joe Rossi's name over at Minnesota. I think that when you look at some of these schools that are doing well enough, I think that the opportunity is not good enough for them to leave. to come to Florida. Now, we can say, Florida is obviously a better program than Iowa State, Minnesota. That's not at all what we're arguing. What we're arguing is that, do you leave a position where you've got a lot of political capital and the ability to be in a pretty stable role for a chance that if it doesn't work out with Dan Mullen, that you're then looking. Now, obviously, they're all talented enough and can be able to go get other jobs, but there's only 6 defensive coordinator opportunities in college football. So, what are the chances? So, I know some people have thrown a name around the name Marquand Manuel. That is a name that I think will forever be tied to University of Florida. Defensive coaching, search, former DC of the Falcons. I believe he's with the Jets right now. I don't see that move being made.
He's the defensive Kerwin Bell. He will always and forever be tied.
I will say this. This would probably be the first time that I could ever potentially see it because he did take a step down. Now, Marquand Manuel has never coached in college, I don't believe. So I don't know if I ever see it, but if there ever was a chance, a guy that used to be a DC at 2 different spots, now back to a position coach, maybe, but I don't necessarily see that happening either. Another name that I have heard being thrown around, Jim Knowles, a guy from Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's doing really well. So those are, and I think that we've pretty much hit on a lot of the big names. I still think that Florida's going to probably go after a position coach that is looking to take a next step up, though. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think on paper, I don't want that. I want an established guy that got like a reputation, can hit the trail, maybe get us some guys out of the portal and also finish up with a good recruiting class. So I would like a guy that got a reputation and a track record, not like a position coach. I wouldn't mind a position coach out of the NFL. If it's someone like the Patriots, like Gerard Mayo, that makes sense. But a regular position coach off of I wouldn't mind poaching Bama's or Georgia staff.
Well, I mentioned Dan Lanning, and then Dan just said that, and I'm like, why the hell would Dan Lanning leave a co-DC at Georgia to come and join Dan Mullen on a ship that's on fire while sinking?
Because guys are competitive and want to be head coaches one day.
He'll be a head coach if he stays at Georgia.
I don't think so. Like how long? Like
2 years, 3 years. Look at the head coaching job. Yeah. Or he can go to Florida. They can have a terrible 2022, and he can get fired with everyone else.
Soka, I want you to hit on that point, and I know that we kind of cut you off there, but about why a coach might want to leave. I think that you were on to something about the competitive piece of it, about why
you guys want to call their own defense. Everybody know that's Kirby's defense.
Yeah,
it's like an offensive coordinator. I'm trying to think like Will Muschamp did with Nick Saban, and he went to go be the defense coordinator at Texas, because you got to call your own defense for like an ego standpoint and say it's mine. So I just think from that standpoint, it's going to be attractive to take that shit show of what our defense looks like, to be able to compete in the SEC at one of the premier jobs. Florida defensive coordinator jobs get you head coaching jobs in the NFL. You look at Dan Quinn or Charlie Strong, anybody else that got head coaching jobs in college football. It's a big job. It's not a small job. And as long as you're there, people still think it's Kirby's defense with Lanning. Like I think Florida, if he can make Florida defense pop, is a quicker route to a head coaching job than waiting a few years at Georgia for somebody to be convinced that it's not Kirby's defense.
That's a good point.
Yeah, no, I like that. Now I don't necessarily think they'll leave. But I think that you make a good point just in general there. So I don't see anybody from the current staff, right? I don't see Kevin Steele obviously getting the role if he didn't get it now. I don't think that C-Rob is going to be put into that role. I do think that Florida's going to try. Now, do you think
C-Rob, it's best case scenario, C-Rob wins out, great defense, shuts out every team left on the schedule, and all these teams are mid. But he shuts out everybody. They don't score a single point. Do you give him a look at defense coordinator if you guys are making a hire?
No. I think there's too much riding on the line. Because I don't think the body of work that he's done it was worth the promotion salary increase that he got last year, nor do I think it's worth him getting that spot next year. I think that there's too much riding on Florida's success next year to hope that your defensive coordinator called good plays against a really crappy Samford team, a very down Missouri team, and an FSU team that I'm worried about Florida losing to right now. But I don't think it's enough. I don't. I think that you need to start completely fresh.
University of Florida is not a learning on the job type of place. So,
well, we did hire him to be our linebackers coach at $70,000 a year. So,
hey, that's saving money, cutting corners there. He's making much more than that now. So no, but I mean, linebackers coach is different than being the defensive coordinator. So no, I don't think I would give him that job title, even if they finish the year, perfect.
Now, would you, if you were a defensive coordinator, is there anybody, on this staff, just, Joe Schmo, generic defensive coordinator, is there anybody on that defensive side of the ball that you would potentially want to keep?
Everybody got to go, even the mops and brooms, like whatever. Everybody got to go.
Yeah. Even the laminated play sheets have got to go.
Yeah, get that out of here too.
I would keep Crime. And I don't know. I think Crime is a good recruiter, can be a good recruiter. I don't know if David Turner is a good recruiter.
Let's shift it on him recently, huh?
But I think Kelvin Bolden handles a lot and helps him a lot when he can. Obviously, he can't go out and recruit. Friend of the show, Kelvin Bolden.
That's right.
So I think I would leave Turner because I think he's got a great development. Those would be the two. That's it.
Okay. Silk.
No, I'm not keeping nobody, man. I think a lot of like when you switching culture and you're trying to fix culture, it can't be a lot of holdover. And one of the things, like in hindsight, is always 2020, but we just there's some holdover on our staff, and a lot of it's not even. And one of our problems is not just on the field. I think off the field is something we're not talking about. But I think like some of the off the field staff is carryover from last regimes. And I think some of that carryover culture could be a thing. Mm-hmm. I think like a lot of times you just got to cut bait and just start all the way over from scratch with new energy and a real fresh start from top to bottom. And on that side of the ball, I would like not to fire any off the field guys, but I think that's something they need to look at as far as culture wise, because the recruiting's not hitting. There's no chemistry in it. So now I want to jump into recruiting and get like sidetracked, but I wouldn't keep anybody on that side of the ball. I think you need whatever new guy comes in, need to bring in fresh faces.
I agree. I think you got a whole new staff. I think that you need to make a lot of changes in the recruiting department too. We can talk about that in a bit too, but the defensive side of the ball seems under-equipped. There's been a lot of misses. There's been a lack of development kind of across the board, even with your highly recruited and highly rated guys that are being recruited by your Alabamas, your Georgias, your LSUs, your Clemsons, the teams that are winning, trophies are recruiting these same guys that aren't making the field or aren't making plays on the field. And so I think that you need a complete, refresh. There's nobody now. And I think if you would have asked me a year and a half ago in this situation, I'd be like, you absolutely have to keep David Turner, right? I think that David Turner is a guy that we thought was recruiting well, attracting talent, developing talent well. I think that that's kind of fallen off a bit. And I think that no slight to him, I think that he's going to be able to earn a lot of money somewhere else. But I think you need a complete new refresh there. Any other thoughts on the defensive side of the ball before we get to the offensive line?
No.
Right.
It's
what
it is. I don't have any more deep takes or anything about it. Let's get to the offensive line. What you got?
Gators, John Hevesy, 50-year-old John Hevesy leaves after spending his entire career with Dan Mullen since 2001. I believe they were GAs at Syracuse together as well. Nick, is that true? Or I'm trying to look it up real quick. Let's see. No, they missed each other by a year. Somebody was wrong. I think it was Bruce Feldman that said that. So anyway, they spent 2001 at Bowling Green together, Utah, Florida, Mississippi State, and now at Florida again together. So 20 years of his life together. John Hevesy is out the door. Removes all connection to the University of Florida and Dan Mullen immediately. It is my understanding, after talking to a few folks, that it was understood that John Hevesy would not return next season under any circumstance. But there apparently was a lot of anger that this happened now and not before not after the expiration of the contract, just from an embarrassment perspective is what I'm hearing. But
100%.
With that being said, Gators are looking to fill a position, at least one position on the offensive line. The name that has been thrown around a lot is a name that I've thrown around. Phil Trotwine, a guy that played for the Gators from 2004 to 2008, is the current offensive line coach at Penn State. Was previously with Steve Adazio at Boston College. Now serves with James Franklin, like I said, at Penn State. An up-and-comer in the game, known as a good recruiter. Penn State's offensive line, I will admit, is struggling this year, but all in all, a guy that I've touted. Any other names that you guys have heard being connected to this position?
Now I couldn't get an O-line board together. I didn't ask the timeline hiring agency about O-line, but Trotwine is just a Gator and a guy that can recruit. I've seen somebody comparing the stats of Penn State and their rushing game and all that. I don't know how that compares to everybody else in the country, and that's how you should line up offensive line coaches. But Phil is a guy that we all familiar with, that I wouldn't mind being back in the orange and blue on the trail.
Nick, have you put together any names?
I have not put together any offensive line names.
O-line board is just like a sick board to put together. That position is definitely going to be a guy that most of us probably don't know.
Yeah, I think you're a real sicko if you're a fan and you've got your O-line. If you've got like a 7-deep O-line board, I'm like, what? I don't even know who some of these offensive line. I couldn't tell you who. I guess Sam Pittman's probably coaching Arkansas's O-line, but I couldn't tell you who Alabama's offensive line coach is. No idea.
I believe it's former former NFL head coach Bill O'Brien, is it not?
Is he the O-line coach? He's the offensive coordinator.
What do I know? Alabama offensive. This is great. Great radio.
Great radio.
This is beautiful.
Offensive line. There's a name that I'm going to mention to you guys here in a second that you guys will know.
Doug Marrone.
Yes. As I mentioned, former NFL.
Yep.
Wait, no, he was Syracuse, right? The Syracuse head coach.
No,
he was with the Jaguars
head coach.
Yeah, look at that. Two NFL head coaches on the Nick Saban line or offensive side of the ball. All the 904 fans are loudly cursing at me, not because I dissed their city, but because I forgot their former head coach. Let's see. Brent Key is a guy that Gator fans might be familiar with. He's a guy that used to be at UCF. That was connected a lot when Will Muschamp was the head coach at Florida, as a guy that might come. I think even when Jim McElwain was here, as a guy that might be connected. He's 41 years old, but has been a graduate assistant or coach for 20 years, which is hard to believe. He's a guy that a lot of people have mentioned. Again, not a ton of connection to Dan Mullen other than working for Jeff Collins right now. Stacy Searles he's at North Carolina right now. He's been connected. He's been in the SEC for a long time. Been around, has been mentioned, was connected with Will Muschamp in this job a number of years ago. Phil Trotwine, who we mentioned, and then Ed Werner, who's with FAU, but he's the former offensive line coach at Michigan, is another guy. But again, like Silk said, like Nick said, it takes a special type of sickness to create an offensive line hot board right now. Outside of Phil Trotwine, of course.
Yeah.
It's a familiarity. It's a guy that I've wanted for a good little while now. We'll see. I don't know. Nobody has no idea like what Dan, but that is it feels interesting because that seat is just as high as in Penn State, right?
Right.
You're pretty much looking at the same type of job security at both spots. So I wouldn't mind if Dan was to reach out to him to see what's up. There's a lot of other stuff. I thought hindsight, I thought Dallas Baker should have got a shot on the off the field at the very minimum as last year. Getting former guys that want to be here and want to promote and recruit this product. They play here. Similar to Rat, I thought he should have got a shot as well. So any Gators that we can get back on that's qualified, let's get them back.
You bring Robert Gillespie back, Marquand Manuel back, Dallas Baker back. Just bring them all back. That'll make the timeline happy.
Bro, I saw somebody. I hope it was a joke. Want to fire Dan Mullen and hire Tim Tebow to be the next head coach of the
University. Oh yeah, that was the third on their list, right? It's a wild.
I like that. I should
stop that.
So it's like it can't be much worse.
Right?
Stop it.
He's gonna be mad if we lose.
Nick, you're trying to tell me you don't think Tim Tebow could be
I do not want Tebow. I don't want nobody thinking that's a real
USF.
take about it. Like Silk's tripping.
Yeah, he could with a helmet on.
Yeah, I don't know. Another parting thought is I think this will be one of the first times Dan has to go with a completely new guy in a long time. He's a guy that, we've talked about on this show. He talked about it in his press conference. He's a guy that believes in a lot of loyalty. He hasn't had a lot of staff turnover. I was trying to look, and I ran out of time, but I think he's had to hire less than 8, new people, during his time as head coach. He's not fired a lot of people. He's not had a lot of people leave, in his time. And a lot of times, when a coach does leave, they do end up coming back, a David Turner or Billy Gonzalez, Todd Grantham. Well, Todd Grantham never left, but anyway, ends up hiring guys that he's familiar with. So there's not a lot of guys that Dan Mullen's familiar with that are qualified for the role, which doesn't mean that they won't necessarily be hired anyway, but aren't qualified for the role. So I do expect to see a lot of new names that we might not have otherwise seen connected with Dan Mullen. I'll say this, talking to a source of mine, Dan Mullen's not necessarily the most attractive coach to work for either. So that might bring some challenges when it comes to hiring, when it comes to decision-making. He's just kind of a quirky guy, runs teams, runs, programs differently. So definitely be interesting to see. But, it's exciting time for the University of Florida, and, at least some new horizons, if not more new horizons, are on their way.
Do you think Dan Mullen could turn over a new leaf and flip this thing around? We've seen coaches in the past be questioned about where they at. I think Dabo is one of those guys that's on the fringe of being fired and kind of flipped it, but it's rare. Do you think Dan can flip this thing back around?
I do.
Perfect. This is why I love this show. Because I don't.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I think I'm definitely in the minority. Certainly among fans, I'm definitely in the minority. I still think I don't know how much of this was forced on Dan. He says it wasn't. I don't know how much of it was forced on him to make a move, whether it was going to be at the end of the year or do it right now. I think he probably would have done it after the year and was probably told it needs to be done now. So maybe a little bit of both, but to get rid of John Hevesy, whether it's now or later, shows me, all right, listen, he's putting more into the job and maybe just more into not getting fired than he is into, a close friendship. And listen, it's got to be a business decision, and it's probably not going to feel that way for John Hevesy. It's not going to feel like business. It's going to feel very personal, but you have to make a business decision if you're the head coach. Everything falls on your shoulders, falls on your desk. Maybe he's changing. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm a sucker. But I think Dan Mullen, if he can get the right people around him, he's never going to be personally that dog in recruiting. So you need to surround yourself with dogs who will go and get guys. And then they're going to come to you and say, hey, I need you to help close on 4 guys a year. And he needs to be able to sack up and do that. But I think he's capable of changing. And if he can make good hires,
but his hires have been egregious.
Yeah,
I think he's capable of changing. Maybe, I don't know. I've said he isn't. I said he has. I'm playing both sides of the fence.
I feel you. It's just like looking at this track record of who he's hired. Like Jules was just like
Uninspired.
Uninspired and lazy hire when you go get a proven guy that could go bring you in studs right now. And if that co-DC you're worried about offending like Grantham's feelings, like who cares about Grantham and his defense, bro? You the guy in charge. You could be loyal to Grantham and get him some help. Like, bro, I understand it's your defense, yes, but I'm bringing in somebody because I want to be successful. It's not about Grantham's ego. And that's the thing that's just like throwing me off. Like, I like the way when Dan's invested, the way he called plays, the way he could scheme, all that's like inspiring, the way he could develop quarterbacks, all that's dope stuff. But his reasoning of like why not making changes around here and his arrogance that comes along with it, willingness to change even during games, like let alone the whole program. He's not willing to change in a game when it looks like, yo, I may have a bad game plan or this is not working. So I'm just a little reluctant to believe in this guy going forward because just don't see it, man.
Yeah. And so I agree with you. And I think the reason I take the take that I did is not a feeling that I've thought for a long time. It's a new feeling for me that, evaluating, things over the last 3 or 4 weeks has shown me that a lot of the hope that I had, that Dan Mullen had, in this position and being able to be successful in this position have masked the true identity of who I think that Dan Mullen is. I think that he's a guy that has struggled to make tough decisions. I think that he's a guy that has never really faced adversity the way he has at the University of Florida. I think that it's a guy that hasn't been able to overcome adversity when he's faced it before. And I don't know if he's a guy that knows how to battle the expectations that he says he knows how to battle. When Mississippi State rose to be number one, in the country, they lost 3 games in a row. When Florida was 8-1 last year with a chance to go to the college football playoff, they lose a terrible game to LSU. They have a player that throws a shoe, and then they basically give up on the rest of the season. Every time that I've seen this team get beat up, they don't have the will or the power to battle up against and overcome the issues that are on the field or issues that are facing the program. And I think that that is a coaching and that it is an executive leadership issue, not a player issue. You can say that Florida got beat by Alabama. You can take those 2 losses out. Florida has lost to a bad South Carolina team, a bad LSU team twice, a bad Kentucky team. They didn't look good against Tennessee. They didn't look good against Vanderbilt. They didn't look good against USF. They didn't look good against FAU. They got blown out by Oklahoma last year. And for all intents and purposes, when a guy reached success like Dan Mullen did last year at 8-1, looking at the NFL, what happened? He had to deal with adversity, and what happened? He fell on his face. So that's the issue that I have right now with Dan Mullen and my belief that he can turn this around. Do I hope that he can? Sure. But at the end of the day, I cheer for the orange and blue. I root for the orange and blue. I think that Dan Mullen's a nice guy. I appreciate a lot of the staff. They're great people. They've helped me. They've helped us. They've given us great connections. But at the end of the day, I want somebody that, I feel can lead this program to success. And I don't know if I have that belief in Dan Mullen anymore.
Another culture change got to be, and whenever this shit is closed up, it's never good shit. It's just what it is. It's too closed. The media is closed out. That's okay when you somewhat successful, and you know what I'm saying, this thing is looking okay and the program seemingly in the right direction. But now closing things up the media because you think what's best for this program, that ain't it. We got to know what's going on behind closed doors, but we're not getting surprises like we see right now. And it also, like, you get to see competition. The media gets to say, yo, I don't know, man, that third string tackle may be better than the starter, bro. Like, I don't know if he should be the starter. I think there's more culture changes that need to be made, that need to be addressed as well. It's not just changing DCs. I think they need to talk about the overall culture of the Florida program. It's deeper than just Todd Grantham's defense.
We left Nick speechless.
No, I mean, I didn't. I think I think I probably changed my opinion from what you said, Dan. I think you very eloquently said it right there. And I agree with a lot of the things you say. I think I've probably gone back and forth on it. You know, Saturday night, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this guy's cracking. Like Florida is a meat grinder that has chewed up and spit out 3 of the last 6 coaches and appears to be doing that to the 4th of the last 6. The other 2 guys won national championships. But this is not an easy job. And it looks, and it appeared to me Saturday night.
What big job is the easy job?
None of them are. I'm not
Exactly.
Listen, I'm not going the Chad route. I'm not blaming the fans. I'm just saying.
No, let's talk about that too. Like that's so
high.
corny, bro. Like blaming the fans for anything to do. You can't fire fans, bro. Like every big job is pressure. Like that's what it is. It's what all this is about. The players are under pressure. It's the SEC. It's big boy football. Everybody's under pressure. There's nobody's being disrespectful. We're asking for a good product. Bro, it's a terrible product. To go get beat and blown out by South Carolina, nobody should say anything to a fan, man. Y'all move past that. Stop giving that guy attention, man. I got love for Chad and that family, but like stop giving that attention. That's just like somebody trying to get off their own self.
Pause.
Yeah,
Pause.
That's definitely a pause. But that's like you got a motive there. Like that ain't coming at the UF fans about that terrible game is just wild to me.
I bet there's Alabama fans.
Y'all been right, bro. Don't let Chad stop y'all from fanning. Y'all been right this whole time.
Mm-hmm. I bet there's Alabama fans that are wondering if Nick Saban, if the game has passed him by, because what he's done so well is hire great assistants, and now you've got people looking at Bill O'Brien.
Definitely complaining.
You got people looking at Bill O'Brien and going, "Who the hell is this guy? Get him out of here!" They got I'm blanking on their defensive coordinator's name right now, but their defense that ain't Alabama. And they haven't been Alabama defense for 2 years. So I mean, every job there's pressure. But what I'm saying is like the expectation is SEC championships. Dan Mullen got Florida there. Will Muschamp couldn't do it. Dan Mullen was competitive in an SEC championship. Jim McElwain was the Alabama scout team the 2 times he played them. I think
so
Dan
closer.
1 step forward and half step back.
It sounds like we're getting closer.
We're creeping. Maybe the next guy.
Nick, I don't think that there's anything harder about the Florida job. And mind you, I've been tough on Florida fans.
No, it's tough. I think it's tough, but I think it's warranted, and I think it's a little overblown. With how tough it is, though. Go ahead.
Right? Yeah. No. That's. I was gonna say exactly that. There's been times that I've been, tough on Florida fans, and there's a section of Twitter that lets me know every single time, when I'm wrong about fans being right or how much I hate my alma mater for saying it. But I think that that's true with any job, and the noise is loud whether you work for a publicly traded company or whether you work for a large company. I mean, at the end of the day, Florida has $150 million athletic department that is run largely on the proceeds that the football program brings in. You are the CEO of a major brand that reaches far beyond, football, even though you're the head coach of the football program. The expectations are there, and the expectations are warranted because it's proven that it can be done before and it can be repeated. And that's, I think, the biggest thing to me is that you've had coaches before. The SEC was in a different spot, but Nick Saban's doing it at Alabama. Steve Spurrier was able to win a lot. Urban Meyer won a lot. Will Muschamp didn't work out. Jim McElwain didn't work out. And right now, Dan Mullen is falling into the same trap of if it's not working out because of decisions they're making, it's so much easier to blame the fans and say, oh, it's so hard of a job and they have unrealistic expectations, rather than saying, hey, what can I do to make this job the winning job that it should be and can be because we have the resources, the recruiting, the ability, and the backing to do so.
The expectations are not unrealistic. They're just high.
Right, bro, high expectations. Firing Grantham wasn't high expectations.
No.
That's what making it see high. Like playing the best players isn't high expectation. That's regular shit. Yeah. Nobody's asking for like, yo, my man, you didn't win the national championship. You got to get out of here. Nah, bro. Like put a competent product on the field, my dude. Like you get paid a lot of money. we put a lot of resources in and got a product in your hand, care about it. It looks like this team don't care. They're not prepared. We've been complaining about, the media's been asking about a defensive coordinator, offensive line, and recruiting 3 things that haven't been even attempted to be fixed. That ain't unexpected or a job that's too big. That's basic head coach shit.
Right. I mean, imagine you're the CEO.
I spent his shitty recruiting for like 2 years, and it was just like, all right, bro, I'm out of spins.
You know, if you're the CEO of Ford and you have cars that are consistently put out that fail, you know, inspections, that have bad crash ratings, you don't keep the guy that's creating, you know, and overseeing those divisions, right? You fire him. You're the CEO of any company, right? You're the CEO of a food company. You have products that don't go out and don't sell. You don't keep that. You run an IT company, a services company, and you guys continually break servers or bring down networks, or your cloud infrastructure not strong, you fire that, right? Like in any field, you have to look at the expectations of, you're the CEO of a major, large organization. You have to make decisions that drive that engine forward and not be forced to just because he's your friend. Right? I promise you, Larry Ellison and famous CEOs aren't there because they kept their friends in, you know, other roles.
Damn,
business is business, man. I can't. Loyalty in business is not loyalty. Like friendship, it's just not the same shit, bro. Like you're running the University of Florida, and here's somebody just looking out for their friends. I know all coaches do this, but not to that extent. It's been very obvious, like, how bad our defense has been, how bad our offensive line has been. Like, these guys have been sleeping on the clock, on the trail and all. It's been easy, just easy vibes. Like, and the fans supposed to just be chilling. Nah, man, we want to see us compete for shit. Spend all my money and follow this just for, like, you to come play around and be gone in 3-4 years. Because we're gonna be here every Saturday. These coaches and these seats keep changing, but our seats ain't changing, bro.
You're not the risk moderator at a fraternity party letting your friends in. You're running You're running a pretty valuable company. This ain't a club.
No, I mean, you're the CEO of, you know, an organization that would put you, you know, easily into the top 0.001% of businesses that exist in the United States, right? So the show goes on, boys. We play the Samford Bulldogs on Friday. Nick, is that a nooner?
It's a nooner. Love a good nooner.
Yeah, I got stuff to do the rest of this fall.
Yeah,
so
bro.
The bowl game, is the Mayo Bowl at noon?
I feel like that's a night bowl game.
I think that's a 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock.
I don't know if I want to be in that one then.
Listen. We're contractually obligated after having the social media manager on to go as a family to the Mayo Bowl.
I will go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl if the Gators make it. How about that? Not that
and we will all be there. We will all be there.
They got to pay me to show to the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Listen, I will figure out a way to cover the game.
How cold? Where is it at?
Charlotte. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I might pull up to Charlotte. Yeah, I'm down to pull up to
Charlotte.
Right, we're not talking about the Birmingham Bowl when I had to wake up in Birmingham, Alabama on January 1st and go watch, you know, who was it? Man, Adam Lane poop himself.
Oh my gosh!
Shout out to that guy.
What happened to Adam Lane? He transferred to East Kentucky, and we never heard from him since.
That was Muschamp took him over.
Derrick Henry.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah,
was it Derrick Henry?
Yeah, it was Derrick Henry, but let's not talk about it.
Will Muschamp. People want him back.
Wasn't it Mike Davis's class too, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't know. That's Kevin. We took Kevin Taylor and Adam Lane over the monster who is Derrick Henry. Good times at the University.
Well, the Gators are in a battle of 4 and 5 teams. Samford is 4 and 5 with wins over.
I'm nervous. Tennessee
Tech, Western Carolina, which is the coldest game I ever went to as a Florida Gator. I think that was in 2006. Wofford, and coming off of a win against the Citadel with losses against VMI, Chattanooga, Mercer, ETSU in overtime. Looked like an epic battle.
Chattanooga.
And then UT Martin.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's a couple of 4 and 5 teams getting ready to play some football.
That's right. Let's see what we've got. Samford averages 36.78 yards per game and allows 35.89. You guys want me to do any more deeper analysis on
Nah,
Sanford?
man, I don't want to talk about
check
Sanford.
out,
Anyway,
bro.
just seen on Twitter.
Check out, my guy.
Yeah, don't worry about Sanford. I'm a little nervous because I don't know. Like, Dan might be trying to prove a point. I don't know. We may see Kitna take some snaps.
Texas forever.
I just seen Anthony's tweet. The dancing tweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Bro,
hilarious, man.
That's a dangerous dance move.
Shout out to Anthony Richardson, man. That tweet is hilarious.
Yeah.
Nick, do you want to provide, or Silk, you want to provide commentary on what you mean?
Oh, so Dan Mullen, I'm sorry. For the average fan that don't know, Dan Mullen came out and said that Anthony Richardson hurt his knee dancing last Friday, and that's why he sat out the game. So then Anthony Richardson tweeted a GIF or a GIF, however you pronounce that, of a dancing guy. I think that's hilarious.
Well, then he also said that was the exact move. And if you look at it, it hurt my knee to watch it, but I'm an old man.
Yeah, that didn't hurt me to watch. Silk knows, Nick, you know.
Yeah, you got the moves.
Timeline knows. Yeah, that's probably a move that I could master for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So yeah, no, absolutely. Shout out to Anthony
Have you ever
Richardson.
torn anything?
No.
No, never, no injuries dancing?
No, just I tore my pants once, but that's a different story. Right down the seam.
Was it a wedding? Was this just
yeah, it was a wedding. It was a wedding. Fortunately, it wasn't like just the entire backside. It was more that like part underneath like the crotch
I was about to say, you have no Adam Lane going on, did you?
But no Adam Lane going on. But it was that, you know, that seam that goes from this would be a good time to move into Manscaped, right around where your ball sack is to you know, probably the upper quartile.
That would be the gooch.
My
Whoa, what is going on?
Yeah.
This man just say gooch on the show?
Yeah, man.
It was the area.
If you have an HR complaint about Nick's profanity, please reach out to us.
They're gonna send an HR complaint for me saying I think Dan can win a championship.
You're the Grantham of the show.
Bro, that's highly disrespectful.
You're providing a toxic work environment for him.
I can see it. I can see it. That was funny. Anything else, boys, before we get into the Manscaped ad read?
Nah, man, I'm just getting to this ad read. You got something else? I'm pretty sure something else is gonna come up. I've been mad all weekend. Yeah. That's embarrassing. Like, that is crazy. To lose to Kentucky like that was already nuts, but to lose to South Carolina, this ain't Steve Spurrier, South Carolina, and then they have Goofy Beamer like all clunky saying, "Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to win." Like, bro, I was so high. There's no way I could keep watching the game after that.
1 week ago, you barely knew who the opponent was. You thought we were playing Missouri this week because you how comfortable you were with winning.
I'm just tapped out. Yeah. Like, okay, we about to coast through this thing, man. We can at least out talent the rest of these people, right? Our issue has been like, okay, Georgia smoked us because we just can't recruit. Okay, we got better players than the rest of these people. And then we get smoked. Do we want to speak about the flu and all that, or no? We good with the flu?
Good with it. It ain't an excuse. And also, he didn't. Dan was asked like point blank about it, so he wasn't trying to bring it up as an excuse either.
No, I don't think it was an excuse. I just wanted to at least like say that we have missing players because of the flu.
Well, here's the problem. If you recruit well, then you have good players behind the guys who are sick. Florida doesn't recruit well, so you don't have good players behind the guys that are sick.
Who didn't play because of the flu?
Everyone played.
That's what I thought. So
Rick Wells was out there.
Rick Wells was out there. Jacob Copeland was out there. Zach Carter was out there. Copeland and Carter flew up separately. How sick they were. I don't think Carter
like a private plane. You mean
like different charter? Like a different charter than the team to keep them separated from the team.
Oh, okay.
Bro, that's flagship money. Hey, we want these two guys to come up, get in their own plane.
We gotta spend it on something. We ain't spending on recruiting. Well, we gotta crank the Jets up for the game. The sick players, I like it. Yeah, no excuses, man. There's no excuse to ever get spanked by South Carolina like that. That's crazy to me. This guy's doing historically bad things. He didn't get out of town. Like, he's stinking up the place. It was fun while it was fun, but It ain't fun no more.
So when you were watching the game live, Silk, and when you cut it off at halftime?
Yeah, after Beamer got in his bag of like he was surprised they was winning and shit. I couldn't watch any more football, bro. I was
Enjoyed
blown.
your Saturday after that.
Yeah, when I get South Carolina coach talking greasy to me like that, dog, and I can't do nothing about it because I know we're about to trot out this terrible defense that can't stop a counter, and we're gonna throw Hail Marys. That's all we did the game. Threw Hail Marys and ran dives. It was the weirdest game ever. So I was just like, I can't watch any more of this. I gotta watch this condensed on Monday.
Yeah, shout out to the people that condense YouTube videos for us.
It's a life-changing thing, man. Shout out to the great folks at Manscaped, man. The best of the best when it comes to grooming them balls and that gooch. If your gooch is hairy and you need to get that gooch right, we got a gooch trimmer for you. It's a Lawnmower 4.0. The best thing the gooch has ever ran into. Keep that thing smooth as a baby's bottoms, Nick.
Bro, the whole pod's
Smooth as a cooch.
The whole pod's on probation.
Yeah, we all provide the
Pod's
toxic
on
work
probation.
environment. Use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Keep those balls clean. It's the holiday season. Black Friday is around the corner. They got the body wash. I got some shampoo. If anybody wants some shampoo, holla at me. I don't have anything to shampoo. I got a free shampoo that we can like donate away or something.
What an exciting giveaway.
Shampoo. Who sends a bald man shampoo?
Spence, fire that up. Fire up Silk shampoo.
I gotta get enough money to get that LeBron transplant. Then it's gonna be on. I'm gonna keep this shampoo for now because I might need it later.
Your son could use it now. Your son has hair.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't think about that.
These are just ideas. You can always re-gift it for Christmas time.
I'm gonna re-gift it to my son.
There you go. That's a great gift.
I'm just gonna put it in the bathroom. I can't put it. I put it under the tree. He's gonna like talk crazy to me.
No.
Just put it in the stocking.
No. He's too young. He's too young to be getting shampoo for Christmas. That's just got to be like
yeah. Here goes some shampoo.
That's a 30 and older gift.
Yeah.
That's a gift you get your dad.
No, I'm not buying my dad body wash, fam.
I meant like on the lines of like you get like socks.
Shampoo.
You get socks. You get like bad. You get bad stuff. I'm still laughing about it. What's the difference between Father's Day and Mother's Day? Love.
Love. This is exactly
all-time quote.
That's an all-time
remember what
quote.
I got for Father's Day. Oh no, I got Chappelle tickets. I can't talk shit this year.
Ooh.
She got tired of my shenanigans.
She heard.
Right,
she listens to the pod.
She listens to every pod now. Like she didn't used to, but now she listens to anything I talk on.
Checking up on you.
She's talking about this.
Policing me more than anything. You can't be saying that no more.
Wait till she hears how many times you say gooch.
Yeah, this show I'm gonna get in trouble. I cursed a few times on this episode as well.
That Nick's a bad influence. I can already hear Shakira saying it.
No, she's gonna be talking about your dance moves, fam.
Yeah,
she's a big fan.
Big, huge fan of your dance moves. Tell everybody she meet.
A dancing Dan.
Yeah, dancing Dan. She says you got Meg the Stallion knees. That's crazy.
That's nuts. Dan the Stallion. Dan the Mustang.
Dan the Stallion. Wow.
Dan the
Does
Mustang.
anyone give themselves more nicknames than Dan gives himself?
Yeah, he got a bag. He got more aliases than Jay-Z.
Yeah. All right, boys. Let's take it out. Shout outs to our sponsors, Brunt Insurance, Home Field Apparel, Game Time Sidekicks, Prize Picks. Use promo code SG. We didn't shout them out. Shout out to Manscaped. Visit us on YouTube. Subscribe and watch the show. We put the show out early on both Patreon, patreon.com/Stadium and Gale, and onto YouTube. So check those out. If you want to support us on Patreon, again, patreon.com/Stadium and Gale. Follow us on Twitter and social media. Trying to put more content and good content out there for you guys. It's always enjoyable to have this time where we can gather around and talk as friends and interested parties about the Florida Gators, and we hope for a brighter future. With that being said, boys, before I take us out with the song of the week, which is a new personal favorite of mine. Any parting thoughts or comments?
I just want the fans to keep fanning, bro. Y'all the real heroes here.
There's one. I'm probably the only person that cares about the damn band, but we can even bring up Dan's blatant lie about the band.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my!
You think you could turn this around? He lying about the band. I know he lying about other positions. What
like he's lying about the band, dude. So Dan Mullen made a big deal about like the traditions at the University of Florida when he first got here, the traditions and singing singing win or lose, standing there for the alma mater is a tradition that he holds highly. He hadn't done it, didn't do it in Jacksonville after he got his teeth kicked in. Didn't do it in Columbia after he got his teeth kicked in. So I was there in Columbia, and I walked down the Gator Walk, and I take a picture. I'm standing right next to the band. The band literally is on either side of the sidewalk, and Dan walks directly through them while they play the damn fight song like 7 times in a row. They just had that bitch on repeat. Dan then turns around, stares at the band, and like daps up, greets every player as they come through. One of the Alligator reporters asked him about not staying to sing the alma mater after each game. And Dan goes, "Oh, we're on the road. That's on me. I didn't know the band was here." And then my video of Dan walking between the band went nuts. People were not happy. It was just a blatant lie. Like, yeah, my guy, you knew the band was there.
Should have scored more points. You could have heard the band more. But
if you scored more, you would have. God, Dan, great podcast from you tonight. I don't know if you had some coffee. Great showing for you tonight.
No, everybody came on their A game. I like it. Good shit. I handled this week pretty well, man. This season has just been quite the letdown. It's been a real pooper, fellas.
A real pooper.
This is crazy. We got a quarterback situation that we gotta like eventually have a conversation about, bruh. Like real.
Yeah, Jalen Kitten is not getting enough reps. You're right.
That's hilarious. But it's gonna be quite the interesting soap opera to end the season. Hires, quarterback, who goes where, who stays. So I don't think we return football season with both of those guys.
We're all on the same page. If Anthony Richardson is not dropping it like it's hot and his knee is okay, he has to be the starting quarterback the next 3 games.
Yeah, correct. He can't be trying to be Dan the Stallion.
Unless Dan can teach him how to safely dance.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think he's got to be. I think you've got to look at your future. You've got to at least see what you have in him, right? I mean, you've seen what you have with, Emory. You see what, your chances are with Anthony. I mean, there's not much more you can do. Season's lost.
Same corner, same time, fellas.
Same corner, same time. Oh, let me take you out. Crawford and Power. Big fan of them. They have a new song called Moonshine out, which slaps. So you'll like this one.
I got you, bro. Shine that moon.
Hey, you need to be drinking moonshine to watch the rest of this season.
Right.
I think we can make that happen, Nick. I went to a moonshine distillery.
I need moonshine at the nooner.
When I was out in the mountain country. But we can talk about that another time. All right, boys. Same corner, same time next week.
Yeah.